Hello and welcome. My name is Vex, and I am the designer and creator of Kawaii Fox Cafe. And today, I've long been requested some more insight onto Vograce and specifically their trading card and custom trading card sort of category. I operate under the artists should not gatekeep, especially their manufacturers and the way that they create. I think that other artists would benefit greatly from the work that we've done to find manufacturers and the trial and errors so that they also don't have to make those mistakes. And I think as a whole, it raises the art community. Yeah. Anyway, enough high horsing. So I've got some things in front of me to talk about the listing. So let's first take a look at the listing on Vograce. So I'll have a link to this in the description. Here we go. So this is the custom trading card thing. It's a little daunting. The first thing that I would recommend anybody looking to purchase anything on Vograce, especially trading cards, is some kind of measuring tool. This is like a tailor's tape. It has millimeters and inches on millimeters and centimeters on one side, inches on the other side, and it's like a pretty long and like flexible thing, right? I look at this almost every day because it helps you get an idea of like what size object you're trying to acquire. So really, the only big thing here is to make sure that your file is set up correctly. We're going to go into, hopefully quickly, some files of mine that I have for my trading cards that I've made. But I just want to look at this page in general. There is a YouTube video that's like, hey, what's the deal with this? But it's not particularly informative, which is why I'm making this video. And if you're interested in other products, I've made tons and tons and tons of products you can find on my Etsy. If there's a specific product you'd like to see a little bit more in depth, like, oh, how do I make washi tape or something like that, let me know. And maybe I'll hopefully do that less than like every 6 months. Anyway, so the big thing here is determining the size of the card and the foil treatment. Unfortunately, they don't have an option for no foil treatment, which I think is stupid. But I think it's the paper, the cardstock that they use, just natively comes with a foil treatment on it, and then your art is printed on top of it. So like, you can't. I mean, each card is like super duper duper cheap, so you can't really complain too much. That's also another thing. Like, if you're thinking about trying some of these, get like 10 or 16 of them, because if you get one, I think the minimum order quantity is one, which is really good. Which is why Vograce is so popular, because their minimum order quantity isn't like 1,000. You're paying $1.28 for that one card. If you get 16 of them, you're getting 77% off of that, like, $20, which ends up being so much cheaper. And if you like them, you get to keep a bunch of them, and you can either sell them or give them away or do whatever you want to do with them. So the biggest thing is figuring out which foil treatment you want. If you want the card to have texture, and if you want the card to have raised foil elements. So I'll be going over all of that stuff. Here they have sort of a mock up of like what the texture, or sorry, the foils will be, or what they look like. But it's not a really good representation. As somebody who collects a lot of Pokemon and Magic cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, like, I'm familiar with the different styles of foil treatment, so like it's kind of easy for me to decide. But I can see where it might be difficult for somebody to not know what exactly a cloud pattern is, right? So that's why I've got these cards in front of me right here. So we're going to take a look at those right now. So first I'm going to start off with the smaller card size, which is the Yu-Gi-Oh card size. It's the same card size as a Yu-Gi-Oh card. It's 59 millimeters by 86 millimeters. It's thinner and shorter. And this doesn't have a foil treatment on it. See if I can get this to focus. And it is a matte design. So the only foil, you can kind of see there is a reflective bit there. That is actually raised printing, which we'll go over soon. But you can see it's kind of small. We'll go over that. I've got two more. Doesn't really matter. They're both the same size. And of course, you submit a file that is one for the back, one for the front. And you just got to name it. Make sure your naming convention is like, hey, this is the front, this is the back. And then we've got the bigger size, which is 63 millimeters by 88 millimeters, which is slightly fatter and slightly taller. And this has both the raised UV and the raised printing, like the cold foil stamps, and is also matte with no extra foil treatment. Here's the back. And if you want to get a feel for the size difference, it's just like slightly, you can kind of see, slightly taller and like definitely way different width. Does that make sense? You could fit the whole little card into the big one. So that was no foil with cold foil and UV. This is the cloud foil pattern. Oh man, that's going crazy. And they're all the same direction, if that makes sense. Like here's a different art, and it's the same foil treatment. It's always that direction. And this is glossy, so you can get glossy or matte. This one you can see is not as reflective. That's matte. This back is glossy, and you could feel the difference too. Like matte, your finger kind of rolls over it, kind of smooth. This glossy is, it's actually not as easy to roll your fingers across. Also, the different foil treatments have stated, if you choose it, cloud pattern is 325G. I guess it's like, it's not gram. Is it grams? I'm bad at this. I don't know. Whatever the case is, that's the cardstock. You can kind of hear. It's like a heavy cardstock. This is the gloss cloud pattern one. The matte one is only 250. So the cardstock can be thicker or thinner depending on the hollow foil treatment you get. And it shows that next to the name. You can see it's either 250 or 325. So the 325 is quite thicker. And you can see, this is like slightly bent. This is the cloud foil one, the thicker cardstock. That's because the foil is on one side of the card. So the cardboard bends where the foil is not. This is a little bit more drastic of a curve. Even this is a little bit more drastic of a curve. Just because it's a lighter cardstock. So the foil treatment on the one side, the art on the one side, warps itself towards where there's less art. So what I do when I ship these out, I put them in like a card sleeve, like a Magic the Gathering card sleeve or whatever, or a penny sleeve or whatever, and put them also in a hard case. They're kind of expensive, but yeah, it is what it is. It keeps the card safe, and it can prevent warping. It also has to do with like humidity and stuff like that, but it is what it is. All right, then the last foil treatment that I have is this. It's called. What's it called? Let me see. Feather silk. To me, it's like a brushed foil. Oh man. You can see it looks like it's super reflective. There at the top, you can see it looks kind of like somebody with a brush sort of like painted the foil on, in person, it looks fantastic. Like the cloud foil pattern looks kind of like a sticker. This looks like a premium foil treatment, but it's on a thinner cardstock, which I don't appreciate because I want it to be just thicker and hardier. But there's a bunch more foil treatments I plan on getting just to see what they look like in person, because the it can look so different in person versus like on their website. But they've since added a bunch more since I got these, so look out in the future for that video. So let's talk about how you want to set up your file. So let's go into some of my files. Again, we're trying to be very transparent. So if there's a question you have, let me know in the comments. So this is my design for the back of the thinner cards. So if you look, I've got my template here. The template that you download from the Vograce website is just this template. I just saved over it. Whatever you send them, you have to have only visible the layers that you want visible. If you don't have access to Photoshop, there is Photopedia and a couple other free versions of like a software like this. And as long as it makes a .psd file, it should be fine. If not, you can submit a JPEG or a PNG or whatever. But when they send you the proof before you okay everything, make sure it looks exactly like you want it. They'll send you, it'll be two things. It'll be your art with the trim lines around it. So it'll kind of look like this, but with only like the pink line or something. And then next to it, it'll be like, hey, this is what it might look like in person without all the lines and stuff. So just like double check all that before you A-OK anything. So when you send them a file, make sure it's named properly. I have mine with my own naming convention. Hey, this is the product, this is the project, and here's the back. So that's that. It has even the sizes still on it. I keep the sizes just in case, even though like I'm buying a specific size, so it should be already filed under that. I don't want any mistakes because you're sending this to people, right? And people make mistakes, people have bad days. So you want to make sure there's as little error as possible, or little room for error as possible, especially if you're not in a Chinese time zone, because you get like one message a day back and forth because time zones are just crazy, right? So that's the back of the thinner cards. Let's look at the front of some of them. So here's the sort of Elden Ring one. And this one has both, I don't know if you'll be able to see it here. There's sort of like two different shiny parts, right? There's a shiny part here in the middle over the rings, and there's a shiny part on the outside. So the shiny part on the inside is this yellow here. This is what I've labeled as UV. This is UV printing. It'll be whatever like color and design you choose it to be. Like on my Ithaca card, I have the red UV, the blood splatter over there. And it does have a texture, but it's not a crazy amount. It's not like cold foil stamping. So I've labeled my my layer UV, and I keep it visible. I've got my design layer at the very bottom. You can see it. Cold foil is the outside, and that's the color you want to pick on the website as well. It's like a significantly raised foil. I wanted also to talk about, so like here we'll go big screen for this. There's a lot of small text here. Can't read it because it's not focused, but it says Kawaii Fox Cafe at the bottom of the card, right? And there is some text on the side. Extra Monster Zone. When I was printing these, or when they were printing these, they message me and they say, "Hey, the foil, the text at the bottom is too small for the cold foil," and that will I can't see it now because Like I this is the condensed project, so I don't know what point size font that was. But they stopped production and they were like, "Hey, this is too small. What do you want to do about it? Do you want to submit a new file that has an increased font size, or do you want to let it go as is?" I said, "Let it go as is. I don't care. This is like really a test anyway." So I got a feel for, like, you can see the field center text for the cold foil stamp is legible. The text below it really isn't because it's too small. So you do want to keep in mind that you're creating something that's going to be on a very, very tiny piece of cardboard. So with your designs, you've got to keep that in mind. Okay, so that was a cold foil, and you just name it, and it says it on the website too. Name your cold foil, which is that extra raised bit. That's that silver thing, silver text in the middle. It's very textured. It's very noticeable. You name it the same color that's on the website. So here, when you're picking your cold foil, you choose, like, if I want it to be red pillar, I name my file cold foil red pillar. That way they know what color you want. The biggest thing I see is, what does the white ink mean? So they also ask for a white ink layer. If you look at this card compared to this card, the white ink layer is something you put over top of anything you don't want whatever base foil you're picking to be shown on. So this file, I can actually bring it up. Or maybe I can't. Maybe I didn't bring it up. Yeah, I didn't bring that one up. This file for this card had no white ink layer. And that's okay. You're allowed to do that. On this file, the flower that I showed you, I only put a white ink layer. Here we go. This is the white ink layer. I didn't name it, but maybe they just assumed that was white ink. Okay. I think this could have actually messed up my order. Definitely name it white ink layer. Whoops. So I just duplicated my design because I wanted the card to be foil, but I didn't want the flowers themselves to be foil. So I just duplicated the design and, like, made the color white, and should have named it white ink layer like I did here. So that's really it. The white ink is just, hey, this is what I don't want to be foil. Easy peasy. Here's the other one, this one. So this card, again, I did a different cold foil. I did matte gold. I didn't want any of the main design to be foil, so I made a big white square, the white ink layer, and there's my design. Same thing with the Pichu one. I didn't want any foil to poke through. So I will say, on this card in particular, it could be the color that you choose. On this Pichu color, it might be because it's like a light. You can kind of see it at the very top of the card there. Do you see how that color is changing above the blue line? It could be because this... it could be maybe... Oh, man, I'm learning things. Okay, so I didn't... Oh, man. It's ever so subtle. I didn't put white ink over the border, and the foil is poking through. I think that's just because I didn't put white ink over the border. I only did it over the art, but it's even kind of even in the art a little bit. It might depend on what color you're using. Like, I know when I made this, the Ithaca one, which we can look at right now, I put white ink over the whole thing. And they messaged me and they said, "Hey, are you sure? Because there's going to be no foil visible, given that this is black, because I chose black as the main design color." So they were like, "Hey, no foil is going to show through." So I think that maybe if you use a lighter color than black or like a semi-transparent color, some foil will come through. I'll have to test that out because I kind of like the idea of a lighter semi-transparent color with like this cloud variant, but only like more subtle, if that makes sense. So we'll have to check that out. But this one was a little bit tricky. So the UV I colored to be red, and it came out super red, which was nice. Give it a nice textured blood splatter look. It did. So this is why I want to talk about this one. So if you look at where the here, I'll zoom in. Where the cold foil, which is just the big text, the big white text, and the UV overlap over these letters here. On the card itself, here, I'll zoom in a bit again. You can see some like pitting in the actual matte, or sorry, in the actual cold foil. Seemingly, the cold foil is put on before the UV printing, because it's like somebody like jabbed it a bunch of times, and it coincides with the design. So if you don't want mistakes like that, I don't think it matters to me, at least for this particular design. But if you don't want your cold foil to get messed up in any way, if you want it to be sort of like a clean, kind of like, you know, the borders of this, maybe make sure that UV printing and cold foil printing are far apart, like on the design. Just seemingly that's like the steps that they take for printing this stuff. The back, not really anything special. The back of the card, same thing. If you see, I always turn off the template. You want to make sure anything in your file that's visible will be printed. So you just don't want that. And this we talked about already. Yeah, I think that might be it for foils. I do want to try out this silvery fibers and a couple more of the like thick 325 gram dotted stuff. Like, I like the thicker cardstock is what I'm trying to get at. And I do want to try the transparent foil look. I think that could be particularly interesting. What else did I want to talk about? That's really it. Just make sure that you submit in the correct format. The biggest thing is the white ink. Just make sure you put the white ink layer over whatever you don't want foiled, because the card itself is stock completely foil. And I think overall, I'm just more impressed with the double side matte. It just feels better and doesn't, it's not so glossy that you can't get fingerprints on it as easily. And like, I had people come up to me at a con and they thought that these two were stickers and they were sad that they weren't, and they walked away. So like, that kind of felt bad, even though I think the cardstock's really nice. I think the foil's really cool. I think you have to tailor your design. It could be because maybe they just look too much like stickers and I should have made them matte. I don't know. My next big project for these is going to be getting a sampling of, it's going to be a lot, every type of foil on every type of both gloss and matte. So that might be the next big trading card video that I produce. I also want to talk about the instant photo cards. I really like those, and I've got a couple in my next order that are coming in. They're kind of one of my favorite products that they make. So the next video that I make will be talking about the different printing qualities for those, and potentially the different sizes as well. So if you like this and you want more sort of transparency from me, and we want to get rid of gatekeeping in the art community, make sure you like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if there's a particular, maybe there's like a new arrival that you're kind of like on the fence about and don't really know what to do with design wise. I've got a couple of like the new prints coming in, like this new style of prints. So I might be able to go over a little bit more info with that. Let me know in the comments, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.